Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to DatSmokeShow. We have a couple more people that hopefully will be joining us here shortly. We've been talking to, but yeah, it's a good time. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't checked out the first two episodes, they were quite fun. Definitely go check them out. And yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll go through and introduce everybody. Why don't you introduce yourself there, Chad?
Hey everybody, Chad Westport here, and I'm stoked to be hanging out with Steve and Wes, chilling on that smoke show on a Wednesday evening. What up?
What's up, chat? We also have Wesingine.
Big up, Ponics. Big up, Chad. Hope everybody's doing well. Big up, everybody out in chat. Hope everyone's living their best life. Welcome back to That Smoke Show. Remember, you need to be 21 to be here.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm your host, Ponics. I'm not always the host. Sometimes it'll be Wes. Sometimes it might be somebody else. This is kind of more of a looser format. So if you got questions or interesting stuff you want to share in chat, throw them out there. Yeah, we have all kinds of cool stuff that we go over. We've had quite a few fun episodes so far. The first two were quite enjoyable, so definitely go back and check those out. I will be getting these up in audio format. I haven't had a chance to do that. I won't have a chance to till next week. So yeah, sorry about that part of it, but that it is coming. Alrighty, so I guess before we get started, I did want to mention that if you guys want to come hang out, you can come hang out with me and Chris Trump and Matt Powers and Cass Posey and a whole bunch of other amazing people up at Mycelia at the festival this weekend in Washington State. Up in Wilkinson, Washington, up in the forest. It's going to be a great time. Tons of awesome speakers. The schedule is just packed full of people. It's pretty crazy. All different types of forays going on. I'll be leading one of the forays. We have lots of different presentations. I know myself, Chris, Matt, many others are giving 2-hour presentations. There's 3 separate stages going on all the time. There's lots of different cool stuff to check out. It's really going to be an amazing weekend of education as far as homesteading and mushroom production and all kinds of other cool stuff. So definitely come check it out. If you're in Washington or BC or Idaho or anywhere up that way, come hang out. It's going to be a good time. Well, what's new? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw a tea ceremony on there, and I'm just kind of going back to my days of the Pacific Northwest, and tea was our preferred delivery method for making some of our shroom teas. And then I start to think, I'm like, man, how fun would my brain, how good of a time my brain would be having if I was having a tea ceremony and then getting into like the nitty gritty of the soil food web and microbes and all these fungal things in the earth and around me. I would probably like excitedly lose it down a rabbit hole. That sounds like a good time.
I mean, I think you got it right, Chad. But I think for the first bit, it would be exactly as you said. But then I would continue taking too many mushrooms, and then I'd be requiring a walk through the forest.
That's where most of my experiences took place. A lot of times it was just, let's go into the forest. Sometimes it was like, let's go to the city. But most of the time it was like a almost solitude type of thing. Just go out into the woods and the forest. A lot of trips at Snoqualmie Falls, which played into it too, because that was right around the time the original Twin Peaks series was out. So that was a good place. Fun times up there.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Have you guys done any mushroom hunting this year?
You know what? Right now we're having a huge bloom up here.
Wes, your mic's real quiet. I don't know if you want to adjust your mic volume in Zoom or whatnot. What about you, Chad? Well, he's
not yet this year, but this is a very heavy area for mushrooms. Like people will drive from states away to come to like this little, I don't know, 15 square mile area to find all kinds of different shrooms. Morels are awesome. King Boletes are awesome. Chanterelles. We have a lot of the good restaurant grade type of mushrooms here, and then we also have other types that people drive all over from. We always know, because I live by the beach. There's obviously dunes and grasses by the beach, and twice a year you can count on, like, if you take a walk in the morning or like in the evening, you can just count on, like, I don't know, 5-10 little hippies just like out in the middle of the grass, just like foraging through the grass, just digging all over, and you absolutely know what they're doing. They're looking for mushrooms.
Yeah, we've had a good luck with morels this year. We went out 3 times and found quite a few. And then the summer we haven't had a ton of rain here, so we haven't really had too many chanterelles. Only really had one decent day so far where we found any. The rest of the time it's been just too dry. We haven't had those rains that you need to really get them going and blooming. I'm kind of hoping maybe the next couple of weeks we'll get it looks like next week the weather pattern is going to change quite a bit. We're supposed to get a ton of rain next week, so I'm hoping after that maybe we can get a flush or two still.
Yeah, hopefully in September. I mean, September around here is usually like the warm month, kind of a nice month. And then we start getting into the rain towards the end, in October, definitely. Not good for trying to finish a full-term plant, but wonderful if you're a mushroom hunter.
Oh, yeah. And I know when I used to lead forays up in Colorado, we'd get tons and tons and tons of mushrooms. Like, sometimes I remember one day I filled the whole back of my Nova completely level with the bench seats in order to with porcinis in like 45 minutes. There was just, you couldn't like not trip over them. They were just everywhere because the conditions are perfect that year.
And that's hundreds of dollars. I mean, people do come down from restaurants and just, unfortunately, they kind of pillage. But it is what it is. You can get a license I think if you're harvesting over 5 pounds or something like that, you're supposed to get a license, but I don't know if many people do.
Well, Colorado, you can get a license for 20 pounds. And then you used to, well, I don't know what it is. You used to be able to buy 10-pound permits for it. It was like $1 per 10 pounds or whatever it was. So you go out and just load it up for like 100 pounds and you're good for the season or whatever. You know, if they, you end up filling your car up or whatever, at least you got the permit covered.
Yeah.
But every state has its own stuff. Some places, on state lands, it's completely fine. There's no limit. Obviously don't be a dick. Try to leave at least a third of the mushrooms for nature in order to, otherwise you won't have any next year. And then if you find older ones, I really like to use diving bags for mushroom hunting because they have lots of open holes in them, so that you can take one of your bags, just throw a bunch of the old mushrooms you find along, and then just bop along and shake the spores and kind of help spread it. And I noticed that when we did that in Colorado, we, over the course of 3 or 4 years, it really, increased the amount of mushrooms that we were finding each year. So you can kind of like tend a patch of forest over a couple of years and actually really increase your production as long as you, inoculate the same species of trees that you're finding it under. That's the biggest thing. And then also don't do that with shoestring root rot, also called honey mushrooms. Don't spread that one. It kills trees.
Ooh.
That would be the one exception. It's amazing, but it is a tree parasite.
They're all similar too. That's been one thing that's held me back. That's why I've had to go with people in the area who year over year do the hunting. They kind of know where to go. They have the identification down. There's a lot of fake things out there, and just the consequences make me a little nervous. Have you guys seen any apps or anything? What helps you identify while you're out in the field?
That's a good question. So there's a great app that I like to use a lot, especially when I'm doing consulting or traveling and I don't know what the plants or animals are, called iNaturalist. And this stuff works anywhere, in the world. Like when I was in Africa, I could ID stuff, not everything, but obviously the stuff that had been reported. But it's called, I got it on the screen, iNaturalist. And it's just a snap for your phone. But you can click, I'll show you an example. Here's the map. There we go. So we can go to we'll just go to Florida here. Right, wherever this is, Florida. Bam. Come on. There you go. So you can see all the different reports of the different animals and creatures on here. And then it gives you a list of all the different, longhorn beetles and mushrooms and plants and flowers and, reptiles and mammals and amphibians and whatever else is there that people have documented. So if you're trying to find out what's in your area, what time of year, because it has all that data in there. So we can click this one right here. This observation was, this guy reported it on this date, this time. And so you could say, okay, this was reported on August 17th of this year. So if you went back next year, you're looking for that particular mushroom, you could go back and find it. Obviously, this is a milk cap. So most of the milk caps are okay to eat. Not all of them, but most of them. But it is just one example of, how you can use that to find stuff. And then same thing as well as insects. It's great for that, because if you don't know what a bug is, you can click here. This is a narrow-leaf sunflower, observed there. So, or whatever. So, but what's cool is a lot of cities have this mapped out, and you can find like fruit trees and stuff. Another good resource would be like fallingfruit.org. I don't know if you guys are also, especially if you're into what is it called? The people that live off the trash cans and stuff, dumpster divers.
Hobos?
No, there's a name for it. The people like live off of society's extras. Somebody in chat can help me out. Anyways, it's really good for that. So for instance, like there's nothing around here, but let me go up to Colorado because there's a ton there. So yeah, so like Denver, Boulder, you can see like someone went and mapped every single 11,000 fruit trees in Boulder.
That's kind of wild.
And you can find them. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and then also same thing too in the mountains. A lot of these areas you can find like berry patches, and it tells you like, hey, at this time of year, here's a crab apple. Let me find one. Russian olive. But anyways, it's just super useful if you're trying to find like fruit trees of a particular type that you want to get cuttings of, or just get some fruit at different times of year. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, again, this one also has like good restaurants that throw away good food and stuff on here. But anyways, I have a lot of friends that are into that kind of stuff, and yeah, you can find all those different types of things. So again, it's another great resource if you're trying to find different types of things.
That's interesting. I like that. Eat kind of healthy.
Especially for foraging, it's really, really useful. You can see here, they've mapped out most of Denver as well. 45,000, 20,000, 5,000. So you just zoom in and until you get it all. So yeah, there you go. So you can see there's quite a few different ones that are edible or otherwise useful or whatever. It's kind of neat. I remember you can also have people, list invasives now, I guess, as well. That's kind of interesting. But anyways,
it's crazy what we do with technology and data. I mean, this is something that would kind of almost seemingly be
Freeganism.
Meaningless. Yeah, meaningless to a lot of people, but the utilities of it is amazing, especially if you're tracking pest pressures or, pollination, cherry trees as an example. Am I near any other pollinating cherry trees? Data. We do interesting shit with it, and I don't know why sometimes.
The other one I like for mushrooms is Mushroom Observer. This is another really good one if you're trying to ID stuff. Here's some black trumpets. Yellow parasol. This is super common, especially in cannabis pots. So, yeah. Is there other good resources for those? There you go. Captain 420 joining us as well.
Welcome, Captain. Let's see here. Here's a question for chat and everybody here. As I just flip over to YouTube real quick, what do viewers prefer, like single speaker view or gallery view? Like what's more entertaining? Like, is there a preference? Does it really even matter? I don't know. It's always.
There we go. Is that better?
I don't know. I'm just.
We weren't in gallery view. I think we did the last one in gallery, and then we just somehow didn't end up starting it that way.
It's going back. It's always fun to watch the person least paying attention sometimes. Like, what are they doing?
Me looking up into the sky or at the butterflies flying by.
Right?
Oh, I see it very darkly. I see your image now.
Oh no, it's just a picture today. I'm getting over food poisoning.
Ooh.
So you're not going to see me.
We're just going to hear a splash.
Thank you.
No, that's over with. Thank God.
Yes.
Chat figured it out. It was Freegans. That's what it was. Freegans.
Freeganism.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the for those that don't know, Freeganism is like living off of the excesses of society. So like picking all the fruit that's not getting picked, and a lot of them dumpster dive and do other stuff. But used to have roommates that were into that back when I lived at a commune. So learned all about it. It was always really fun to like have guests over and then have like a big dinner and then tell them at the end after they ate everything that like half of it came out of a dumpster or some other fun thing. That was always fun. Watch them like freak out. It was always funny.
What? Go ahead, Wes.
Oh, that's enough. That's all. Just a what?
I was just talking about that earlier today with my neighbor, though. I used to work at Trader Joe's in the U District in Seattle. And like Trader Joe's whole model is buying stuff right before it expires. That way they get it cheap and they sell it and they kind of turn and burn stuff. But when you buy, like meat and salads were the number one thing that went bad quickly. And we'd have to, obviously end of the night, go through the meat, go through the salads and throw whatever was expired in the dumpsters. But there's also, a lot of people who wanted that food knowing that it was good. So it was always like a battle of like trying to, then they had to cover the dumpster, then they had to lock the dumpster, then they had to get a gate for the dumpster. And I was always the person who accidentally forgot to lock it. But so much good food goes to waste in this country.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you left that dumpster unlocked.
Yeah. Whoops. Pay me more, fuckers. No.
There we go. Sorry, I'm muted. We kind of touched on this, but I did want to mention it again because it is pretty great. I was kind of hoping Brendan Rust would be here by now for this one, but I'll mention it anyway. If he comes back, we'll talk about it if he shows up. Growers in Oklahoma filed a class action lawsuit against OMMA, the state of Oklahoma, and Metric. So Metric is facing its first big major challenge and there's this has got a lot of ammo behind it because they've screwed a lot of people financially with this big time. And a lot of them have pretty deep pockets and are pissed off about it. So, you got people sitting on millions of dollars worth of product and it's past testing. And it's just because Metric hasn't totally dropped the ball on getting tags ready and all the rest of this. So, people shouldn't be sitting on product because Metric doesn't have their shit together. It's just that simple. So definitely something. I know everyone that's worked with Metric hates Metric. So,
and especially when they're the only option. It's not like you can go to somebody else and get your products on the shelf. It's yeah.
And on that note, just to further, because this is going to get worse before it gets better. Alabama just secured Metric as their track and trace. So this is going to happen all over again for you in Alabama. Get ready. Go ahead and sue them now ahead of time before they do the wrong stuff. Also, anyone be aware, there's a guy that ripped a lot of people off and really fucked up the industry down in Oak. He's ran off to Mississippi now, but what was his name? Durbin, Mr. Durbin, the lawyer. He's basically the Sal Goodman of cannabis lawyers, but he ran off to Mississippi after fucking up the law here and completely screwing the first challenge against Metric that was holding it up. So if you are listening to the show and he approaches you in Mississippi, don't give him a dime. There's many people looking for him in Oklahoma right now. So I'll leave it at that.
Actually, there's a 1-800 number to call if you see him.
Oh, I mean, the guy needs to be disbarred. He's a fucking scumbag. Anyways, I just don't want to see people get ripped off because a lot of people did in Oklahoma, and all he did was change states. So be forewarned.
That's the locus effect, and it's pretty easy to prey on an industry that has had to hide and not trust the law for so long. It's easy to prey on those people.
On a more positive note, go ahead.
I still don't trust it. I think metric is nothing but a money-making scam.
Well, the problem with metric is that, look, metric wants you to track like the weight of your veg leaves. Why? What the fuck is that for? Or like how much your pot weighed at the end. The fuck does that matter? Like there's a bunch of stuff on there and there's just no viable reason for them to track it. Like they're having us do all this reporting on stuff that just simply doesn't need to be that part of the equation. There's no reason we need to do any of this shit. You want to put a little RFID tag on each plant so that you can track it if it leaves the room. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Makes my inventory tracking a lot easier, right? I don't have to worry about guessing on where the plants are. But this whole thing with the brutality of it, and then people sitting around waiting on tags or getting fined if they don't have tags when they ordered them months ahead of time is bullshit. Like that's the part that's got to get fixed. If they can't handle it, then they need to lose the contract. They're not meeting the requirements of their contract, and the contract should be voided. It's just that simple. Exactly. If they can't do their job, they should get fired.
But then what do you have? Do you have a regulatory system that comes to a standstill because
we just had a monthly reporting system before that, and just stick with that. There's no reason to go ahead and it was working well. Yeah, there was people skirting stuff and a little bit here and there, but that happens with metric just the same. You think that people don't get use the what did George Bush say? Fuzzy math.
Yes, fuzzy math. I love the fuzzy math. Oh, shit. And that was Junior, by the way. But
yeah, Junior. Dude, I can remember me and my friends going to CW, and they had that movie. I don't even remember who was it. Roger Stone that did that. I forget who it was. Somebody did a movie about it was like borderline comedy, but it was kind of mocking him. Called W. You remember this?
Yes, Oliver Stone did do that. Yeah, Oliver Stone.
Okay, so we killed a bottle of Grey Goose and like a 24-pack of beer before we went in there, and we fucking just went in there with the most biggest obnoxious assholes in the whole theater. It was great.
People never saw that coming.
No, but yeah, metric is just a clusterfuck right now, and they got to get this on there, and it's only going to get worse when the feds start getting involved in this shit. But on a positive note, New York approved the first processing licenses this week, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. Way to go, New York. I know for a while they were looking at, non-smokable forms of medicine. So this sounds like hopefully they're moving in the right direction.
And quick thing
Has
too.
anybody been to New York? There's more pot in New York than there is in Thailand.
I believe it. I mean, New York's always been a hub for importing of everything.
I'll say we always had delivery every time we went up to New York within 2 hours, and that was back in the early 2000s. Same in Montreal too. You get delivery within half an hour. Philadelphia back in the day had delivery, that you could just call a number and get a random guy. So a lot of these places kind of have a lot of this stuff well established in the black market or free people's market, and it's really easy for them to do both sides.
I'm sorry. I like the outlaw life. It was easier.
The money was better.
There were less rules, but I don't know if it was easier. Less stressful or more stressful. I don't know, actually.
It was more stressful in some ways and less stressful in others, for sure.
More stressful. I think not having friends over to the house and shit like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The thing I miss though is that like during Prohibition days, like smoking was like a ritual. Like you'd invite your friends over to smoke. Like on a regular basis. That was like a thing. And I feel like that part of it is like gone or disappeared in a way. And that sucks. Like, you know,
the dealer's couch. You know, I've always said the dealer's couch experience. I feel bad for people who grew up in a regulated legal industry because you don't know that. You go to the store. Sure, you may have a friend who grows whatever, but the dealer's couch is where you met all the cool people, you know?
All the people you wanted to meet.
Yeah, that you didn't know you wanted to
meet.
I met
a lot of my best friends at my dealer's house.
I liked about going to festivals and coming home on Tuesday and getting together with all my friends, and it'd be like, okay, you went to this festival, you went to this other one. What'd you guys get?
Right.
You know, that was the best thing. But that was back in the 90s and early 2000s when we didn't have all this.
Yeah. That's another thing too. Just the accessibility, the ease of it kind of takes some of that romanticness out of it, of like, when you got something just super skunky or just something like, you know, when you first discovered like creeper, you wanted to bring all your friends over and like smoke till they were high and then watch it creep on them. And they're just like, dude, I can't handle it. But those were special things. It's easy now. And it's easy to get. And that's a positive and a negative. Like if you want to be a grower, it's fairly easy to get some really good genetics these days. Which back then, holy crap, it was not. It was bag seed or it was boof or,
Amsterdam.
Yeah. Nowadays, though, pick your flavor, pick your appearance. You can find it, which is rad. But also, I don't know. Sometimes when things come easily, they're less appreciated.
The other thing, too, is like, think about, and I've had I still can't wrap my head around this, but how different all of our economic situations would have been if we weren't slinging at a pretty young age, right? Like where all that extra cash just wouldn't have been there that allowed us to do all these different things like go to festivals and the stuff you just talked about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of funny to think about,
when
all
I
these
went
kids
to
never have that economic opportunity that we did, which is kind of a funny way to put it. Prohibition, but it's the truth, though.
You don't know $5,000 pounds.
When I would go to festivals, I would basically sell out in the first night. And then I'd go around and I'd be looking at the glass. I'd be looking at the tie-dyes. I'd be looking at all that. And I'd be spending my money with those people. It doesn't happen anymore.
It's true.
The money isn't going back in the community.
Yeah.
You see this big time in Humboldt. I mean, fucking Redway, Garberville, that whole area is just abandoned. It's really sad and depressing. Not everything, but compared to what it was the first time I was out there, it's a ghost town.
Wow. I stumbled upon Garberville back on Reggae on the River weekend. And I just happened to be driving all night across 299, cutting over from I-5. It was the sketchiest drive. It's daybreak. I'm happy to see a gas station somewhere to pull off. And I pull into Garberville, man. And it is just hippies everywhere, with colas the size of their arms, wearing as neckties. I had never seen anything like that in my life before. That was pretty cool. But even then, it was a small town. This was 2001, I think, 2001. But that was a cool place. But yeah, once whatever industry supported that goes, there's not shit around there to support it.
That's it. There's no alternative industry there.
Yeah, well, they need to get into environmental work, environmental stewardship and protection and all of that stuff now, and try to revitalize the area and the water supplies, because that is going to be another huge hit once the water really dries up.
Yeah, it's horrible, and my heart breaks for everybody out in Willow Creek right now. I know a lot of friends right now that are either under the gun or evacuated by that series of fires. Anyone that isn't aware, there's quite a big set of fires right in the heart of cannabis country in Humboldt right now. So
wow,
definitely, and I feel like it's like every year we there's some kind of thing down that way now. It's just terrible.
You're not imagining that. That is the new normal. Having to deal with wildfires and having to deal with the fallout from that, whether it be ash, whether it be microbial activity, whether it's your, entire farm getting sprayed with that, red stuff to put it out. It's just a new reality. Like, me and my wife, we're looking for property. We want to do it. And we've seen things down in Southern Oregon, that are ideal, but I'm like, nope, it's fire country. Basically, I've drawn the line at Eugene. It's got to be Eugene or north, because wildfires will be a new normal every year. And that's, not just Northern California, Southern Oregon either.
I had a buddy of mine today. I was talking because he's like, he lives out in Cali still. And he's like, oh, it's so much nicer here. You don't have tornadoes. And I was like, I don't know, man. I saw the news last week and KTLX had a literally a fire tornado. I was like, at least our fires come with rain and not, or tornadoes come with rain and not fire,
Fire
Yeah.
pretty ominous. Yeah, I don't need to face that.
No, you're still a little quiet, Wes. But
Am I still too quiet? Hold on.
Under your audio settings, just hit the button.
I'll try turning it up in Zoom.
And then turn off automatic adjust microphone volume, and then just set that manually. I've had to do that with this new mic I bought.
Okay, sounds good. I turned up my mic volume a little bit there too, so hopefully
that's awesome. Sound nice and crispy smooth. It sounds like you've got the nice like radio announcer compression on it.
It's a nice microphone. It's a damn nice microphone.
Yes, sounds good.
Too bad I don't use it yet. That's all.
This mic does all kinds of fancy stuff. Anyways, what was I going to say here? The House also passed a bill that would expand cannabis and CBD research this week. It hasn't passed the Senate yet, but it's throw it on the screen here. It's nice to see the feds moving in a way that's not the other bill with too much taxes.
Yeah, it's cool to see these things. I almost feel like I failed on doing my homework this week.
That's all right.
I should have brought something to the table.
Terrence is coming to Thailand to talk about magic mushrooms with the government.
Terrence McKenna?
Yep.
No, dude, Terrence and Phillip. Duh.
Nice. I met him and Dennis up at what's his name? The MAPS conference they had in New York. Actually, I met my fiance at the after party, my first one at least. Good times. If you ever get a chance to go to any other conferences, they're fucking amazing. You'll meet the coolest people.
MAPS?
Yeah,
what was that?
MAPS? Oh, man.
Acronym for
Big psychedelic.
Majorly Awesome People Stoned.
Hold on, I'll pull it up here. It's the multiple disciplinary association for psychedelic studies.
Man, that's a different
doesn't
version
spell
of the
MAPS.
MAPS is. I thought MAPS was the name for pedophile, like minor attracted person.
Oh, wow.
I've never heard that. Maybe in law enforcement it is, but I don't know. So they fund a lot of great research. In fact, they're the ones who put out this. Actually, let me pull the book up. There's a great book as well. If you want to learn more about it, definitely check them out, maps.org. But they also put out fuck is it called? It's the book I have right here. Hold on. It's called Sorry, this is the reason why I couldn't remember the name. You'll see in a second. All right. The Ethnopharmacological Search for Psychoactive Drugs.
Yeah,
that's why
no potheads remembering that.
20 letters. I'm going to pull it up here so that everyone can see it. But if you're looking for just like the absolute best like resource to keep on your shelf, this is the shit. Throw it up here. It's 2 volumes. And it has everything in it. It is really good. You can double check your work if you're just doing various studies, and it's great to learn about both traditional uses and modern preparations of a whole wide range of things that many people that watch the show are interested in. So definitely check it out. It's put out by Dennis McKenna, and it's kind of they do these big maps conferences every so often, and they take all the white papers and all the studies from that and then put it into a formal book so that you have it, as a reference. It's really good. Definitely check that out. If you're into those kinds we talked about arrowwood last week. This is a kind of a good follow-up to the arrowwood discussion.
So you're going to be up in Washington this week. You already said at the myceliate, the festival. I like that. It's kind of like Spaceballs, the movie. But, every time I say it. But are you going to be camping?
Oh yeah, camping the whole time. It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. You got a great weather weekend in the Pacific Northwest coming for you.
We also have a big solar storm this week. There's actually a pretty decent chance of an aurora there, which is like even cooler. I've never seen an aurora. And if I could see that while on this trip, that would be so amazing.
That would be awesome. You're going to be in a good place for it. I've actually looked up on the map where the event is taking place. Not a lot of light pollution around there.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this. This is, I think of all the summer ones, this is the one I was looking forward to the most because it's with, some of my favorite people to go hang out with. And then also just any excuse to get out of Oklahoma in the middle of August, and the heat here is a good one, so.
Yeah. And we have evergreens. So even though the grass may be green where you're going, but the trees will at least be green.
Oh yeah.
Northern lights are like a double-edged sword for me. There's good. I love watching them. They're absolutely beautiful, and I get them up here really good and really clear quite often. But it's a solar storm, and that fucks with my GPS at work. So it makes everything take longer and fucks with me all day. So there's a downside to it too. But
yeah, I always pay attention to the solar flares and the solar storms and what they say that they'll interrupt or what they're capable of disrupting, whether it be radio signals or GPS communications. Interesting. I don't know. I kind of almost feel sometimes like my mood can be affected by solar flares. I don't know if that's phooey to you guys, but man, sometimes the energy is just a little bit weird on those days. And then I read the news the next day and they're like, the sun emitted a CME burst 9950 million, something like that. Nope, you're on mute, Steve.
Sorry about that. Somebody asked in chat what caused the fires in California. It was a thunderstorm. The same thunderstorm went over the area real slowly, and it started 8 separate fires in about an hour in a tight cluster.
Yikes.
But not much you can do about that. So, unfortunately.
No.
The other, another interesting thing that happened cannabis-wise this week was the Teamsters Union in Illinois is going to formally recognize the cannabis industry, which is kind of interesting to see some of the bigger U.S. unions finally accepting cannabis. I thought that was kind of an interesting, development. So
yeah, I wonder what they get out of it.
I think a lot of these bigger unions are just looking for new members wherever they can find them.
Yeah. That could be true.
But it's good though. I mean, more representation. I mean, these guys have much better connected lobbyists than we do, long term. So it's definitely going to help the workers in the long run.
It'll be interesting. I mean, because you don't have to use union employees. And a lot of employees in this industry are just kind of treated as dime a dozen because they almost are a dime a dozen. That doesn't mean the quality ones are the ones that you actually want running your show are dime a dozen. But the overall mentality is just like, fuck you, whatever. Okay, put an ad out, get 50 applicants tomorrow. So it'd be interesting because unions, the collective bargaining is a great tool if it has teeth. So who knows if that'll set in here.
This is the new capitalist way is just find a way to get rid of them all, close the whole store if they unionize. Yeah, just get rid of those workers, shorten shifts so they can't afford to work there anymore. You know the deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why keep an experienced person around? You're only going to have to pay him more. Replace it.
Well, you see Amazon and Starbucks and stuff have been unionizing like crazy. Maybe especially now that all the workers are kind of collectively pissed off all at once
as they should be too.
Right. But this is kind of unique in history in the United States, or at least not totally unique, but this hasn't happened in a long time, but might be the big kind of revival of unions and group representation.
I would love to see some of the power taken back from the corporations and given back to the people, because it's all about living wages. Like, if you give people living wages, you'll have a better product. It's just a snowball effect of happiness and positivity. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
A raising tide floats all boats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they should have put a limit on corporations getting into this on a maximum square footage or canopy size.
Well, they've tried, but they just buy multiple licenses. So then they can do what they wanted to.
And that's the problem, is the only real good control is the, square footage caps. And, I don't particularly love them, but at the same time that you have to have them because it's the only way to kind of force, there from being just a handful of people growing swag and then, everyone else getting pushed out. I mean, you're seeing this in other states, but where you aren't seeing this? Oklahoma, where they allow, they have 9,000 cultivation licenses. We don't have really any big guys. They can't compete. So, if they just opened up licensing, that's the other way they could handle it, is it's just, open up licensing and let the war begin, because the organic guys are going to end up winning out top because the overhead is so much less. Living soil or aquaponics, you're going to be well below all these chemical guys.
The product's going to be better.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quality sells itself.
So we have like random topics that we also talk about on the show. So does anybody have like a good band to recommend this week?
Good band.
Music to recommend people?
I heard Goose and Trey are getting together to do a show or a run of shows. So if you're out, I would say in the eastern part of the country, that would definitely be something to go see.
I have to see what my last download, what was my last download from the record pool. That's kind of one of the things about my old job and DJing is all the record pools like hooked me up and they gave us like lifetime memberships if we used them. So I still go in hot in it. I downloaded a Tiesto and Charlie XCX song called Hot in It. It's a good jam though. Good jam. Probably can't play it for copyright reasons right now, but that's my latest jam. I'm usually into like the electronic stuff. I mean, I was in a punk rock band. So I've listened to like everything, really. I've like listened to metal, punk, hip hop, but I was in a punk band for a long time, and then I did the electronic music stuff. And so usually that's where I'm sitting, is on the electronic spectrum somewhere, some BPM range. That's what I'm listening to. I listen to BBC Radio 1 all the time. So it's you can just hit it up with streaming or whatever, but BBC Radio 1, that's the jam. Like everybody with English accents just sounds, I don't know, funnier anyways. So it's a jolly good time. No Nickelback though, disbanded Brotherhood. No Nickelback.
Yeah. Somebody in chat was saying Tigro says they're having trouble finding good applicants. A lot of people are struggling to find good people. You can find people that want to work in a weed grow all day long.
Yeah.
People that know what they're doing or won't screw it up. That's the hard part. And then as a good worker, finding a person worth working for is also hard, or finding people that aren't on Adderall at all the day, or there's a lot of just insanity going on, especially in Oklahoma with some of the different stuff I've had to deal with clients has been pretty bonkers.
Yeah. Well said. I was surprised when I was working commercially. We had kind of like the 3-day rule. If you made it more than 3 days, you're probably at least going to hang around for a couple of months. But so many people dropped out in those first 3 days because it's like, they realized we weren't taking bong breaks all the time. Like there was no like volleyball beach party at lunch break, and farming's actual freaking work. So we had a lot of quick turnover. But they didn't pay people necessarily to retain the quality ones. So yeah, exactly like you said, it's one of those weird industry will work it out type things. But that's where a successful business has the ability to come up. If you're able to have like define your market in like a craft market or whatever, if you're able to pay these people good, like Wes was saying, high tide raises all boats, you're only going to continue to be better. And that puts you in a better position, I think, later in the marketplace. But what am I smoking?
I don't know. I got turned down at 600,000 baht a month. And I'm like, really? I'm coming in here. I'm bringing in genetics. I'm going to be doing all the propagation for you. I'm going to be overlooking your grow. And you're not going to be paying me what I'm worth? Okay.
Well, bringing in genetics too is really risky, because a lot of times once you join that company or you read the contract, it's all of a sudden their material now. So you can't leave with it. It's theirs. You brought it, but they keep it.
I just make them, I put a clause in my contracts where they pay full top dollar for all those seeds.
Yeah.
So it's fine. If it doesn't work out and then we bring in genetics, that's cool. You're just going to pay me for them. That's all.
Smart. Experience base there.
Other thing too, if you're doing consulting and you're just doing like smaller batch stuff, it's not like a big project based thing. Charge them blocks of time up front. A lot of these people like get real creative after you fix their problems. Don't play that shit. Just hear what they want to do. If it's going to be 5 hours, say, okay, cool. Pay me for those 5 hours and then we'll figure it. And if it ends up being 7, then that's fine. Then I eat 2 hours. That's cool. Whatever. But it works out better that way. You won't get screwed a lot less. Like, I don't know anybody in the industry that doesn't do it that way. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, the brain drain, as they call it. It's tricky to identify when you're excited to be involved in part of the industry. It almost takes experience and a few mistakes of getting the brain drain before you start to catch on to like, my knowledge is worth something. Is that why they keep taking me out? Is that why he wants to talk? Is that why he's my new buddy?
If you really know, well, here's the thing though. A lot of times they'll bring you in, learn your stuff, and then leave, and then they didn't actually really pay attention, and then they'll screw it up and invite you back in to clean it up. I've had that happen a couple of times too, where they didn't want to listen, they wanted to do it their way, and then they fuck it up royal, and then come back and just get them back on track. And it's, you know what, that's fine. Hey, you wanted to try it your way, it didn't work out, no big deal. you know? I think a lot of people
You know,
sometimes take that personally, and it's like, yeah, so what? Like, they'll come around or they won't. Who cares?
you know, you're totally right with that, Chad. I was here talking almost every day with Mr. Bubba Fetts, Mr. Ryan Duran, and he stuck me. He stuck me with owing me money.
Ouch.
And this has been over a year. And I said, listen, you need to talk to me. He writes me back and says, I'm busy.
What kind of answer is that?
I've contacted 2 other people that know him. I said, listen, tell him he needs to talk to me or else. And here in Thailand, your word is the most important thing that you have. You lose face. There's people that kill people over losing face here.
Wow.
So, you know, you disrespect someone and put them down, and, you know, you can end up dead. So in their culture, your word means the most.
Hugely.
So I'm going to destroy this guy if he doesn't talk to me. And he's Mr. Cannabis of Thailand. Fuck that.
Is he a foreigner?
Yeah, he got ran off the hill in Cali. Ran off.
Well, and that was another thing that was nice about the black market days. If someone screwed people, they, you know, it was either dealt with, you know, in some of the more creative ways that things were dealt with back then, or they were just cut off from the supply chain and they were just screwed. Like, and that was that. Like, there was instant repercussions when things went south with certain things. There's none of that kind of accountability anymore, which is also why.
Again, like, I've seen that happen. Number of people. Yeah, back in the day. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good. I almost kind of missed that, those repercussions, because people didn't fuck around, man.
Yeah, you had
if you were serious, you kind of knew. And if you were serious, you didn't want that. So you didn't do it. There's always going to be like stupid people playing stupid games, but yeah, man, like pre-internet, you could smack a motherfucker. Sorry. Peace.
Well, this guy ended up when I went down, he was finishing a studio, and pretty much we were supposed to do a podcast. And he built this really big studio, and he's put out a total of 6 episodes over a year. So just like you were talking, you know, someone gives you the information, but you can't put it together. Even though you have this great team around you that all this money buys, you can't put it together. You can't get more than a couple hundred views over 6, 8, 10 months.
Well, I mean, as far as like putting stuff together, that's, you know, we've all seen a lot of plans, or, you know, if you've worked in the corporate landscape, you've seen a lot of things that look great on paper that play out shit in actual reality. But that is the kind of thing of why I went to audio engineering school, and because I was already producing music. But the thing that I wanted to learn was the why behind the how. A person can know how to do something and can probably do it well for a while, until some variable throws it off. And because they don't know the why behind what they're doing, shit goes south. If you knew the why, which the experienced person does, then you correct things a lot faster. But yeah, and you know, that's why I always try to continue to seek knowledge with growing. That's why I did the sustainable ag program. It's like, I want to know more of that why behind the how. That's important to me. And I think that's the best way anybody can dig themselves out of a bad situation, is that full understanding.
Yeah, the full understanding. I know I can pay for a limited liability company and all of my permits here in Thailand for the money he owes me.
Damn. Yeah, see, that does kind of hurt, because that keeps you out of the game, basically. I'd love to be able to get into the game here, but Monopoly, restricted, not any licenses available. Boo.
Come to Thailand.
Yeah,
It's
I
only
know.
gonna, Steve's coming. It's only gonna be like 98 degrees when he gets here.
Man,
No, I'm up in Phetchabun. It's nice and cool where I am.
And bullshit.
I don't know, man.
I live in Chiang Rai and I get into the upper 90s, hundreds all the time. I mean, in December, I'm 85 degrees during the day.
no, thank you.
40s during the night.
No. That's a climate nightmare.
Yeah, but you know what? It beats the hell out of the snow and the freezing cold of Ohio and Michigan, so I feel a lot better.
I lucked out because for the shows and stuff, I'll be doing it the next day in the morning because Thailand time is exactly 12 hours ahead of CST. So it's like it's just the exact same time as everything was. It's just AM instead of PM. It's really easy to remember. So that'll be fun.
Actually, right now we're at 11.
You're at 11?
Yeah. When
From
daylight
which time
savings
zone?
time comes in Ohio.
Oh yeah, but that Ohio's on
Eastern.
Eastern. Eastern, yeah.
Yeah. So if you subtract an hour going west, then you're only at 10 hours.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
I'm not that delirious from shitting my brains out.
Yeah.
That's right. Food poisoning.
What was your mistake? What did you eat that started it all going wrong?
Yes.
Pizza Hut.
Oh no.
I know, I can see that.
My safety food. That's like one of the foods that I know I could always order and not get sick.
How do you get food poisoning from pizza? I've got Little Caesars that's been sitting on the counter for like over 24 hours and I'm still eating on it. It's never seen the fridge.
So these were at the farm in Thailand. They sent me this yesterday. So these ones are not venomous, but they're breeding.
Don't care. Fuck no.
Yeah, those show up in my yard every once in a while.
Yeah, he said they don't worry about these ones. I don't know if they're not venomous or just not aggressive, but
they will bite you though.
Yeah. Well, I don't plan on like trying to pick everything up. I'm like super looking forward to seeing cobras though. That was really fun in Africa.
So are there any actual like literal snake charmers down there that have the cobra in the basket and they're playing the flute and they're crazy as fuck, just like making sweet music love to these things?
I don't see it.
Okay.
I think that's more India and not so much Thailand.
Okay. I just figured a cobra would be a cobra, so it would be equally enchanted, but perhaps I'm wrong. I've never met a cobra. Don't really want to. Except Cobra Commander. He's cool as fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My old man got me all the Cobra toys when I was a kid, and which worked out awesome because like everybody always wanted you to come in the house and play with them because they had all the G.I. Joe toys and they wanted to be Joe. But truth be told, all the Cobra toys were better. Way better.
Oh, dude. Totally like shifting topics. My favorite G.I. Joe toy though was like there was like this oil platform that I had that was like, oh god, I wanted that thing so bad, but it was cool. It had like little boat landing area and cranes. It was an oil platform.
My favorite was of the same series, but it was like that swamp boat with the big air fan in the back and that gun on the front and shit. I think it was called the water moccasin or something like that. I think that's what it is.
I don't know, but yes.
I think it's called water moccasin, but yeah, it's pretty sweet.
So did your G.I. Joes battle your He-Man? Were you into that?
I wasn't allowed He-Man, man. My mom was so religious. She thought like by the power of anything other than Jesus Christ was evil.
The power of Greystone is pretty strong, but hey, I mean, looking back at that now, it is one of the more homoerotic cartoons out there. But hey.
Slightly, just slightly.
Yes. There's another show, Three's Company, that my mom liked when I was a kid, so we would watch it. Thought, Jack Tripp or whatever, he was a funny character. I love the show, so I bought the series now and I watch it. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't get that last time I watched this.
My parents used to watch that too. I'm not sure they got a bunch of it either.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
One guy, two girls. Okay.
The fridge G.I. Joe, as in like the refrigerator Perry disbanded brother. He had his own G.I. Joe character.
He did.
Ooh.
He did. Yes, he did.
Number 72, Chicago Bears, 84 Super Bowl champs. The Super Bowl shuffle. I was living in the area at that time. Yes. The Bears.
1986, you could buy sports card boxes for $1.50 that turned out 5 years later being $400.
I do still have a lot of my cards from the early 80s. Like 83, 84 was when my card collecting really started. And I still have the majority of them. So my dad told me a story when I was young about how he would put baseball cards in the spokes of his bike. And I was reading the Beckett price guides. That was like the, kind of like the Kelly Blue book of sports cards. And so in the Beckett guide, I'd look at some of those older ones. And like, I remember the Mickey Mantle being worth like $55,000 and like, holy shit, little kid can't even comprehend how much money that is. And then my dad saying that he used to put cards in his spokes, and yeah, he probably put one of those in his spokes as a kid and rode around because it made a cool sound. So when I was young, I'm like, I'm always keeping my cards. So yeah, here we are.
We all did, and so none of them got valuable.
Right.
Go ahead.
Around the 90s, they started making like 15 different sets with 30 subsets and like 100 super special series. That's when
the market and just ruined the whole thing.
Yep. What was it? Used to be like Tops, Donruss, Flair, and O-Pee-Chee or something like that.
Tops. Tops used to be mine.
Yep.
Then 89 Upper Deck came in, 90 Leaf came in.
Yeah, and those were worth money. Like that 89 Griffey rookie card from Upper Deck, boy, I still got that one. But again, living in Seattle, but yeah, that one was the money card of his rookie cards.
Well, they were like $1.50, $1.99 a pack.
Which was expensive as hell when you normally get them for like 50 to 75 cents a pack for Tops.
Yeah.
Bowman, yep. That was the expensive one that came in. Those were like $4.99 a pack, man. I switched to hockey for a while because I also started playing hockey at that time, but same thing happened there as baseball cards.
Bowman, 48 Bowman was the first set that I really started collecting.
Huh.
I went for the older stuff. My parents were taking me around to antique shows and flea markets, so that was my forte, that and memorabilia. Paid for a lot of things in my life.
Sad thing is, I still think like that. I collect some things.
What do you
collect? Cool things. If it looks cool to me, I buy it. Don't give a shit the value. Don't give the shit what other people think. If it looks cool to me, I like it. That's all that matters. That's all that should be mattering when you're collecting things. These people out there collecting packs of seeds, and it's like, hey, those have a time limit on them, right? You've got 900 packs here. How many are you gonna pop this year?
That's
real.
The way I've been feeling about a lot of my packs. A lot of mine are getting up there in age, and like now, so seeing some of them not coming through like I expect. So a little disappointing when that happens. But
what do you guys do in that situation? Like I've kind of popped some and then just did a seed increase just to try to keep something fresh. Have you guys ever done that, or do you just kind of let it ride and see what happens?
Either Seed sprout tea, or I'll go get gibberellic acid off of Phyto Labs.
Yeah, I agree with both those. The only thing other than that I would suggest is with older seeds, a lot of times I will put them in a jar with sandpaper lining the outside and spin them around so that they scuff the outer shell to allow the water to get in a little easier.
Okay.
Yeah, and even if you sand just on the sides that stick out a little bit more, it'll help it open a little easier. Those older seeds, they sometimes only have the energy to push and then just kind of stop for some reason.
Yeah.
But so I just try to help them get out a little more, especially where it's an older seed. They just seem a lot harder to crack out of.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing there. Uncle Rick. Chad, he's looking at me again. Yes. I got my Uncle Rick mannequin behind me. Just stares at everybody.
This is the website I was talking about, Phytotech Labs. You can get all kinds of fun shit on here. If you want to play with individual hormones or like anything, you want to get into tissue culture, you want to get into whatever, they got some pathogen testing as well, stuff like that. This is one of the best resources out there. You can buy many of these compounds direct. So for instance, gibberellic. So you can get just concentrated gibberellic acid by the gram, and then use that for your, sprouting old stuff.
Now, how would you do that? I've never actually gone about using that. You just mix it with water at a certain ratio and put your seeds in there to pop. I
have it all written from a protocol I found from a nursery that does revival old flower stuff for new flower breeds, but I don't remember what the exact dosage was. I do apologize on that part, but basically you just get this, mix it with a little water, and away you go.
See, I've heard different things on concentration to use when cracking the seeds. I've heard 150 ppm and 300 ppm, and I don't know. I don't know what's best.
It'd be worth trying. I'd try them both on some of the seeds I have from, an old neighbor that's deceased now. Was a pretty big person until they got busted in the 70s. And I've got some of their seeds, but have not gotten anything to even like crack a little bit. So I'm holding on to the probably 50 or 100 I have left and waiting for something good, but I've never tried that. I have tried scuffing them. I have tried kind of pre-cracking them, but never gibberellic acid. Never done that.
The other one I'll do is seed sprout tea. So I'll get a bunch of like non-treated corn or cucumbers or something else that's going to germinate within 24 hours, immediately have the seed open. Anything that germinates quickly, take that, soak it in water overnight so that it germinates and breaks those seeds open. Take that water and strain that into a new container and then put your old cannabis seeds in that. That's what I've done for the majority of my older cannabis seeds to revive them. It wasn't until more recently that we started playing with the gibberellic acid, just because it seems to be a little more consistent.
Try. Thank you. Of course, I have that same problem we were just talking about. Not enough space to pop everything that I want. So.
Oh yeah, I broke 1,000 this year in terms of different cultivars, so I feel you on that one.
I wish, man. Yeah, you know how long 1,000 would take me. Oh my god.
When I travel, I like to bring sets of bubble bags, and then I'll trade those for like 10 different types of seeds. Or I can always get a pretty good trade value, and I'm not like contaminating their gene pool, right? If you want to go a place that's far away, like the hills of Jamaica or remote parts of Africa or some other shit, they know what bubble bags are. They've seen that shit on YouTube, and they know, someone down the line has told them about hash, right? Yeah, they can't get those in a lot of those countries at all.
Yeah.
And they're imagine like the old days when we were worried about like getting bongs and ordering stuff in the mail. It's like that for them. So if you show up at their doorstep with something like that, and not only that, but you can get those through any airport. They're never going to give you a hard time about it. I've never had anyone. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them.
Exactly. It's not an illegal product. but it's something that they would never, order to give themselves away either. So it's got a lot of trade value when you're traveling, and it's my favorite thing to bring. I'll bring 2 or 3 of the cheaper ones, and 3-bag sets or whatever, and try to get them spread around a little bit. Spreading hash culture for seeds is always good.
Yeah, dude, that's brilliant. Like, I love that, from the fact that, yeah, it does have a good like trade value, but larger from the aspect of like accessibility to this, using more of the plant for these people, learning new styles, techniques, and production. Like, that's so huge, man. If yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they probably weren't utilizing that now that they can. That's awesome. That's awesome. Like that.
What cultivars are you growing right now?
Right now, I've got Kool-Aid Man, Twin Peaks, and the Westport grape juice in the main tent. Got same things plus a purple pineapple in my side tent. So yep, those are what I've got going, but I've got a bunch of things I want to pop. Even some of my own stuff, like I kept saying, I'm going to pop 10 more of the Nakatomi Plaza. Just again, I want to just make sure. I want to run them in 1 gallons. I want to stress them a little bit. Haven't been able to do that yet either. Hopefully that's next on the list. That's important for me to knock off the list.
Nice. What about you, Wes?
I got some jaw fodder flowering. I got some AK-47 crossed with Flow flowering. I got some Jack plus Mac in flower as well. I
can remember going to Montreal and getting the AK-47 strain because it was in the Mr. Green video, and I wanted to like copy everything from that video.
Well, you know what's really cool about the AK I got? Well, it's an AK cross, but what's really cool about it is about 2/3 of the pistols are completely pink, like completely pink, and absolutely beautiful.
Rad.
And she has a very cherry smell to her, so she's pretty cool plant.
I like the sound of that. I've always wanted to grow a pink pistol plant indoors. I had one recently that was kind of close, but it didn't stay pink, and it wasn't like the full strong neon pink like I've seen. I tend to see them outdoors though. I thought it was kind of a UV thing, but people have like, no, I've had it indoors.
It probably happened way more outdoors than with this one, but yeah, absolutely beautiful. And actually, it was somebody from the other show I used to be on that one of the people that watched it sent me them, and yeah, no, I was really happy, really lucky to get that from them. That was Agnes Bickett that gave it to me, but
I know in Jamaica they call that rainbow kush. It has the pink and purple pestals, but I've never seen the variety of colored pestals anywhere except for Jamaica. But what's interesting is in Jamaica, and I can throw a video up too. Jamaica is like a really interesting place if you ever end up in the hills up there, because it's beautiful and then also just like makes your brain hurt at the same time. Let me pull up the video, because you have like a field with thousands of phenos. None of the plants are the same pheno. Every single one's different. So from a breeding standpoint, it's like a huge menu. So this is some when I was out there and up in Westmoreland. But as you can see here, there's no consistency at all whatsoever between the structure of any of these plants. So great for choosing really good phenos for seed production, because you have kind of a menu of literally everything. But you couldn't get a full pound of anything out of that field either.
No, all very short and squat. It makes me wonder if they were autos, but then I was kind of thinking, aren't they on like a 12-12?
Yeah, 12-12 always down there, and yeah. So everything will always flower. So it has to be like a really tall sativa, like to grow it all year round down there. But even like everything, like stuff shows its sex at like 6 inches tall if you don't keep it under more extra light, right? Like
Yeah, 12-12, you can tell by week 3 and week 4 what the males are, because when you're growing under 12-12 conditions, like in Jamaica, all the males and will be a good. You'll basically have, if you, especially if the parents are mostly from the same gene pool, you'll have 2 heights, the males and the females under those 12-12 after that time. And they go through and they pull all the tall ones, and they end up with like a 97% of the males pulled, and they just do a little bit of, pulling them out as the rest of the thing goes. And then they'll save a couple of ones that they have in a separate plot that they like, and then they'll come through and pollinate the ones they want to use for the next round.
Nice.
Now, Steve, you're coming to Thailand.
Yeah.
You're going to see those purple and pink pistils. You're also going to see probably 15 to 20 different purple plants. The one up here, the Chiang Rai purple, the Chiang Rai purple here in the north is almost black.
You can see the ocean in the background there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Way up on the south side of the island.
Everything is pretty green, though. I mean, not just the plants, but everything around there.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful place. The Caribbean's great for growing. Yeah. Well, the nicest and tastiest weed I smelled the whole time throughout the whole Caribbean, in terms of like just visiting people that were doing it that kind of style, a traditional style, was in St. Vincent. But St. Vincent's population of weed is completely destroyed. The volcano completely buried the entire island in ash, and there is no more St. Vincent weed unless somebody has seeds from that they took with them.
Yikes. I was a little too young for weed when I went to Nassau, though. Caribbean. I didn't hit Jamaica.
So here's more. This is another example of like, up in the hills in Jamaica.
Wow. That would be lovely. Everything looks so damn healthy.
Yeah. These are like 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Like that, from seed.
Wow.
So you'll see every section is like a week behind because they harvest it out and then replant. So you're going to get progressively younger as we go up the hill. And you see little mounds, they'll put squash and stuff there to kind of have like some of the different microbes and stuff from that there. And then they'll take fruit and fruit skins and the goat's milk. See the goats, they use the goats to purge all the weeds around out of the field to keep the bugs out. And in this area is where they had just finished pulling all the males at week 3.
Wow.
So those will look like the other fields in a little bit, another few weeks. But they also have if you notice, there are some palms. Let me go back and pull this up here. They also have some palms occasionally in here. So the palms, they use those. Let me find it. It's in the video here. Here we go. It's right here. So they use those to make the wraps. So when they have the pounds harvested, they use the sections of that to make string so that they can tie up the pounds with. Nice. So that's what the palms are for. And it gives you a little shade. But yeah, so everything in the garden kind of has a reason why it's there.
It's pretty efficient planting there too. Nice rows and spacing is nice and tight. But again, they weren't getting big, so you can pack them in like that.
Yeah. And we had to hike quite a bit to get up to this.
So they don't do anything mechanical, I would assume. Then this is all just hand
so they have
harvest.
Yeah, so there's a river farther up, and they have a tap off of that, and that's what's gravity fed for the hose here.
Okay.
That's not from a pump. That's just all gravity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All the irrigation is gravity done. So they'll also have like a mix tank, and you can open it, and it'll mix the nutrients you want to put into the line. It's pretty neat. And again, they're using mostly just that goat ferment as a finisher with the goat's milk and the cow's milk and the fruit skins. And they'll put that down right as when they start to show flower. And that's all they're doing up there. And they'll take like some chicken poop and goat poop and cow poop and amend the land each time and all, but just with what they're growing up there. And then they have a whole, like, it looks like Swiss Family Robinson kitchen and all. It's fucking sweet.
I love that movie.
I learned how to make like a stovetop out of wood and rock and stuff, and a bunch of cool like survival skill stuff that you just don't teach you. in the States.
No,
You guys are great.
we got McDonald's, man. What are you talking about?
Right?
Drive through.
Yeah, those plants are a little bit different than the ones here in Thailand. You're gonna find 3-4 foot plants at a couple weeks.
So this is what it looks like when it's all harvested. That was about 4 pounds, and then it was about 3 pounds when we took all the sticks out.
I was gonna say that the Tide stick, man. That was...
But that 4 pound block and an ounce of hash, like charas, is $100 US. If you know where to go.
Decent price.
Yeah, it's enough for a trip, you know.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do you ever look back at the old pictures when your dreads were much, much shorter and just be like, wow,
little
it's come a
bit.
long way.
It's like that, and just the weight of it when it's wet now, it definitely reminds me.
That's insane. If you ever shave your head, you're gonna be like headbutting everything. Every time you like stand up, you're gonna pulling your head forward.
So when I cut off my dreads the first time, my neck was used to all the extra weight. And you know how when you're like in a car and you're making a left-hand turn and you kind of look left and right real quick? Every time I did that, like the first week, I damn near broke my own neck because I was used to significantly more weight. So I was like giving myself whiplash, just trying to look. It was hilarious.
It's true though, man. For anybody who's had like any length of hair and then cut it, you do that like, oh wait, I don't have to like clear it out of my face, or you know.
I have the mustache too, so I have like full Salvador Dali if I want to.
Oh wow, damn! I didn't know the mustache wrapped around down into the.
Oh yeah,
too.
Yeah. That's
you really need to do that, dude. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to come on one time and you just have it
a
waxed up.
giant. Yeah.
Weave it into a dread. Can you weave it into a dread? That
So I for a little while I dreaded my beard into like 2 or 3 dreads, but it was too hard because you eat and everything. It was too hard to keep clean. At least with this and keeping it not dreaded, it's easier to like brush it and wash it and just keep it clean. Because if your beard's not clean, you know, your luck with the ladies isn't going to be too good.
hey,
They don't like the flavor saver aspect, you know.
Yeah. So many. There was a Paulo Ono. He was a speed skater, an Olympian speed skater, and he was from this area. I'm trying to think what Olympics it was. Somewhere in the 90s or 2000s. But he kept like winning all the competitions, and he had just that like little soul patch. That was it. But like that became like a cool trend for a while, was just the soul patch, and people could buy the little soul patches to stick on. I never understood that one, but apparently that was popular with the ladies too. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you just leave me hanging like that. Let me just.
Well, I just don't know. I don't know how do you follow up with that one? I don't
know, man. I'm like
maybe like the shaved off, penciled or tattooed on eyebrows. Is that like the female equivalent?
They're pretty much, man.
I would pretty much have to pencil on my own beard.
Do it. Look like Pee Wee Herman when he had to do it. Pee Wee Herman's the shit. I like that guy.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Everybody forgets. Before he was Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis on Pee Wee Herman.
Which, if you haven't seen a picture, look that up. Ah, dude, Pee Wee's Playhouse was awesome. You had Cherry, the chair, and then you had the word of the day where everybody would just go ah. Whenever somebody would say the word of the day, that's kind of fun. Try it as an adult with a group of friends out in a social setting. You'll have fun with it.
Because the internet didn't exist. That's why that guy got ruined. Because the internet didn't exist yet. That is exactly why.
Oh, Mekaleka hi, Mekahini ho, Mekaleka hi, Mekajani ho. Yeah, that's some old school Pee Wee stuff right there. It's all on repeat now, though. There he is. That's a long way from
I can't even
Morpheus.
keep a straight face, man.
I know
Right?
you stole my
That's
bike.
amazing.
Love you, man. Like he gets it.
I keep telling you know what? We gotta get Coot. We gotta do the whole Captain Calmag at BizCon with Coot and get that going. That would be too funny. We were talking before about giving Coot like a Superman outfit and having it say Captain Calmag and just have him go around like yelling at everybody at BizCon and telling them the product sucks. It would be great. It'd be like the best thing ever.
I got $50 on it.
I love Coot. He was great. I gotta actually just gave a few of my buddy the other day some Pacalolo seeds from him. So trying to spread the love a little bit on some of the cool things he's got out there.
Never did get my Pacalalos that I was promised. Not from you.
Oh,
Though.
I got a couple. I'll save you. I'll make it up to you.
I appreciate it. Somebody never got those to me.
Yeah, I don't know. What are some other people that had some pretty funny like other shows that they were on?
You go back and it's fun to see some of the like early like I don't know, Courtney Cox is a good example. I think her first thing was a Bruce Springsteen video. Ota.
What's going on, everybody?
How's it going?
Hey there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
So is OG really original gardener? Are we the original
Right.
gardener Kush? Is this what you're coming out and dropping today? News
That's
breaking.
right. It's not ocean grown. It's original gardener.
Yes. We can put that one to rest now.
Absolutely. According to Kevin Kraft.
Welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody about yourself? I think it's your first time on the show.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. I am Hota Herb, also Jason Gideon, known as Hota Herb. You can catch me on Instagram at Hota Herb, JOTAHERB, and also on my weekly Clubhouse and YouTube podcast, Hota Herb's Grow and Tell, on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I am a home grower and regenerative cultivation enthusiast, I guess is the best way to put it. And I love hanging out with these guys. So I'm happy to be here. I appreciate everybody for having me on.
Good to see you here. It's good to see you on a live YouTube. I'm usually listening to you do the Clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm used to the audio only thing. I'm not, I haven't done as much video. I used to do a lot of video. I did a lot of Instagram lives, especially the first year of COVID. I was on almost every day. And, but Clubhouse is audio only. So I just can, kick back and talk and don't worry about what's going on in the video. It's nice and relaxing for the grow and tells. But yeah, I don't mind doing the video. It's good to see people occasionally and have them see me as well. And I just trim the beard, so it's in good shape.
It's gotta get it. I was telling Steve that this might be the first pantsless episode here. It's so hot. So
not in my case. I am wearing pants today.
Okay.
Although, I work, I work on computers. So I'm usually talking to people like this all day long, and they have no idea whether I'm wearing pants or not. Absolutely. It's definitely an advantage of working from home.
Yes. It's the fun things in life.
I have some amazing Golden Girls jammy pants I often wear while I'm streaming because they're super comfortable. My ex gave me, they're really amazing.
Now, Disbanded Brotherhood had mentioned in chat that Phil Hartman was the sailor Captain Carl.
Oh yes,
Was he also a character on the Pee Wee's Playhouse?
Yeah,
Was he? Hold
absolutely.
Oh,
Well, he
wow.
wasn't on the Playhouse. He was on the live show. So Captain Carl, and he did the movie, maybe the original movie. But yeah, Captain Carl was definitely him. There was a bunch of folks that were in the original. My wife and I did go see the he was Broadway or just off Broadway when they brought the show back a couple of years ago, and he did it. It was freaking fantastic. My wife has always been a huge Pee Wee fan too. She was like in tears when he came out on stage, and Terry's flying around and everything else. So yeah, no, it's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Oh, that is so cool. I remember hearing about that, reading that. I mean, like, that would be so fun to go.
Oh yeah,
because he was doing it proper. Like it was just like you're back in the scene. Now, did you watch the number 3 movie that he made? I think it was exclusive for like Netflix. It was straight to streaming, but
I don't think I saw that one. I know we saw, I saw Big Top Pee Wee, and of course the original movie. I have the box set of all the show, so we always watch the show.
The cool points, just like they were already high. The cool points just went bing, 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 bing.
I was in college when those were on, so for us, we were totally getting high and watching that show all the time. That was like a Saturday morning thing.
Have you guys ever seen Oddville? Since we're on the topic of like shows that had a ton of celebrities before they were that were just kind of off the wall. So check this show out. I can't play the video because obviously we'll get flagged, but this show's called Oddville, and it has this like really like it's the most 90s thing you've ever seen in your life, where it has like this chick that bounces around, and it starts off with just like her holding placards with the people that are on the show and throwing them on the floor, and then they bring on like someone that's kind of well known, and then they'll bring on like a lady that can bend all kinds of different ways, and a guy that can play a saw with a bow, and a guy that can like burp a song, and like it's like Lollapalooza used to be like with the sideshow
like the Gong
act,
Show.
like half the show is that, and then they always near the end bring on like an old vaudevillian, like retired, like in their a sunsetting vaudevillian guy who was super popular in like the 30s, 40s, 50s. Like back in the old era. So it's this like really bizarre mesh of like comedy and entertainment and like street artists. It's just this most bizarre show, but a ton of bands played on here before they became famous, like Blink-182 and a whole bunch of others before they were, totally blew up and everything. So it's pretty good. Dave Attell was on there. Black Flag, I think, was on there, and a bunch of people.
I love Dave Attell's when he did that like drunk show.
Yes,
like After Hours.
Insomniac.
Yeah, that show was fantastic. That was so funny. He's a freaking riot. That was an awesome show.
He's awesome in person too. I've met him in a couple of comedy shows afterwards because he always comes out and says hi to people, and he's always been super, super nice.
Yeah, I used to go to a lot of comedy shows back in the day because there was a couple of good comedy clubs in Tampa. There was one in Largo. Ron Bennington had a club over in Largo, and then there was a great one right in downtown Tampa. And like I saw Chong came with Tree to Ron Bennington's club doing his comedy show, which was fantastic. The comedy show is really, really awesome. He's, him and doing the bit. That's really where him and Cheech started out, was a comedy show. They were a comedy duo, and then that thing took off. And of course, then we did the movies, and Pee Wee Herman's in those as well, right? Like he plays a freaking a hotel clerk in one of them. He's like chasing them down, and he's in Nice Dreams with the Hamburger Man.
He's had some cool cameos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a real character, and I remember seeing some stuff. He did a lot of Instagram early on, and he was doing a bunch of things with Snoop. He's friends with Snoop. He was doing all these things with like 3D video camera filming, or about the time they did the live show on Broadway. So he's a character. He definitely was into being out there and around. Yep, there you go.
Wow, that's so rad.
I thought the funniest thing to learn when we had Tommy on a couple of months ago now, was that they originally started out with this like the strip club that had like comedy skets between girls. And it was that's actually kind of a great idea. Like,
and they did that in they do that in Mrs. Maisel. I don't know if you've seen that show on Prime. The Amazing Mrs. Maisel. It's a show about a comedy, a lady who does comedy in like the 40s or the 50s, and she's at the same time as Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce, there's a character who plays Lenny Bruce in the show as well. But yeah, one of the things she does this whole set of gigs where she's just working out of basically a strip club, because it's the only place where she could be completely blue. Where she could curse and say whatever she wanted without getting arrested.
Hey, this is great, man.
And with that, our first copyright strike. No, I'm just kidding.
The warnings will be released.
Right.
I think that's short enough for fair use, Potent. I believe that's short enough for fair use.
Oh no, I know. I was just making fun. What are you growing in your garden there, Hota?
Let's see. Right now, I have 4 different things in flower. So the Gift of the Gods from Mr. Toad from Feel a Feel is about to finish. That's on day 67. 68, actually. I got my spreadsheet up here. I've got another one called Evergreen. That's from Mr. Spliff, and that's on day 52. I've got Tyric Peak, which is from Eternal Cultivars, and that's on day 43. And then I have a Venus Blue, which is a Mosca, gigantic bush that's just taking over my 5x5. It's actually the first feminized seed I've grown from him. Normally I grow regular seeds from him, and this is the first of his feminized lines I'm running. So the Venus Blue is going from Mosca. And then in the veg tent, which is behind me, I have chow mein from my buddy Joe, who is City Slickers Genetics. And then I have a Valley Haze from Goat and Monkey Genetics, my buddy Zach, who's awesome. He also used to do, for those who were familiar with the Seeds Here Now guys, he did a lot of the events back in the 2017, 2018 time period. He used to work the booths for them a lot, especially in the New England area. Really, really great breeder. Has been around for a really long time. And then we've got Natty Bumpo, which is from Rebel Grown. So I got that off of Dan at up in Maine when we were up in Maine. And I've got that Natty Bumpo. And Natty Bumpo, for those that don't know, is one of the characters from The Last of the Mohicans. And there's actually a whole book series written on this guy that was from like the 1850s. And the one that I'm reading now is called The Deer Slayer. And this guy's like this crazy woodsman, but he's a guy who didn't really fit in either one of the frontiersman worlds that he was living in. He didn't fit in with the colonists. He didn't really fit in with the Indians because he was a white guy. But he was a frontiersman. He loved to be out in the woods and to hunt and all those things. So it's pretty interesting. Not bad. A little bit of a slow read because it is definitely 1850s writing. Not the most exciting story I've ever read, but not bad for a period piece. So that's that. And then I've also got some clippings. I did take a cutting of the Hindu root beer I grew from my buddy Pure Breeding, Kyle, and I've got an orange Hulk from Dark Horse Genetic, also a cut I took off of the last time I grew that one, and I want to get those back into flower soon too. So that's the pile.
Sounds like you got quite a bit going on.
And everything's staggered in their growth. As I was saying, most of the stuff in flowers, they're all 2 to 3 weeks apart. And then everything in my veg tent is about a month apart. So I try to keep a rotation going. So I'm always harvesting fresh plants, always trying to get at least one plant into that flower tent every 30 days. So that I've always got something fresh, something new to smoke on and don't get burnt out on any one flavor. So
variety is the key, man.
Absolutely.
I definitely have to have variety. I always have to have at least 10 different strains to choose from.
Yeah. And I've knocked out 13 this year so far. So
nice.
Yeah, so the Curador is filled with all sorts of tasty snacks right now of different flavors. I must have like 5 or 6 different things on my table right now in jars, just different flavors.
What are you most excited about?
The grape Goudini is the one that I just trimmed up. It's from Two Guys in a Gun. Here, another Massachusetts breeder, and he's a vet. He actually has a whole bunch of strains. One of them's called Johnny Warpants, and a lot of them are for PTSD and good for pain and relief, stress relief, and things like that. But it's a really nice frosty, some nice solid nugs, and it's about 20 days into the curing process. I just trimmed it up yesterday. So enjoying smoking a little bit on that. That's what I've been smoking on all day, and just trying not to smoke all the sticky grapes. So I grew sticky grapes from Bloom Seed Co., which is a cross between it's grapes and it's like toffee and a grapes. And it's really, really tasty and super frosty. And it's one of those smokes you can keep smoking on all day, and it still hits you every time. So it's really nice. That's what I've been enjoying. That's from Bloom Seed Co. and Harry Palms.
Nice.
Do you love the grapes?
Do love the grapes. I love the grapes. I still haven't found the grape I'm looking for, which is the grape of my past. I had a strain called Goofy Grape back in the early 90s in Tampa that we had. And we grew that one for a couple of years, and it was amazing. It had that grape flavor to it, and like you could taste the grape in your gums after you smoked it. So it smelled grape, it tasted grape, and it had this just beautiful, smooth, just euphoric type of a high. It was really, really nice. And it was a cross between Soma, Williams Wonder, and Soma's Lavender.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so we had that in Tampa in the 90s, and it was quite amazing. Really, really amazing. I think there is a grower in Florida who's still keeping around some of those goofy grape lines, and it's gone down maybe a generation or two with some other things, but that is specifically one that was really, really amazing that we had in the early 90s, mid 90s in Tampa. That I believe we got it as a clone too. I don't think we got it as a seed. One of my buddies, Dave, brought it into the mix. We were growing primarily Skunk One by Northern Lights and Hash Plant at the time, and we brought this goofy grape in, and it was just, we kept growing it because it was delicious. It wasn't a big yielder, which is why it didn't really last or stick around for a long time. but man, it was so tasty, and just the high was just so good. So I've been chasing grapes, and that's why I had the sticky grapes and the grape grudini, and I'm going to continue to try to find something good and grapey. I grew, I think I had it with me at the regen as well. I had a, what was it, grape popsicle, and that had some really good grapey, almost kind of the popsicle, like a blue raspberry popsicle kind of. So there's some blueberry in there, but yeah.
Love the blue raspberry icy is just the best flavor in the world. So
Absolutely.
I'll just put that out there. I do love that one.
I really love that. I do love orange though too. Like those are the two that I go back and forth with. Like an orange popsicle. I think that's the best flavor out of the box there.
The creamsicle, the orange creamsicle, or just straight?
No,
orange?
just the straight orange, man. Not necessarily the cream. I do like the creamsicle flavor. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely that's straight. I like that really bright orange flavor. 7-Eleven had a Slurpee a long time ago that had a really, really just amazing bright orange flavor that was like orange.
Orange in your face. Oh man,
Exactly,
that's the Otter Pop you're reaching for. In the box of Otter Pops, you're reaching for the orange one.
Absolutely.
I always went for the red though, the cherry.
Yeah.
Probably because they didn't have a blue raspberry Otter Pop. But
probably. Yeah, no, I agree though. The blue raspberry is just such an interesting flavor.
Yeah, my mind is on, cool treats right now. I'm sitting here complaining about being too hot. It's 80 degrees while the rest of the nation is in like 100 and something. But I'm still staking my flag, man. It's too hot.
Yeah, it was like 67 here today on the Cape. So
nice.
It was nice. We had a cloudy day, some nice wind blowing. So it's like I got my sweatshirt on.
Right.
You guys are getting like a summer nor'easter or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
I was looking at the weather forecast out there. It's pretty bizarre for this time of year.
Yeah, it's been a very bizarre summer. I mean, in general, it's milder here on the Cape than it is in the middle of the state where I was. So it's like been 10 degrees, 15 degrees hotter in Central Mass than it has been here on the Cape, which is okay with me.
Yeah, I'm right on the water too. I'm like less than a half mile from the waves. And yeah, if I drive 20, 30 miles, 15 degrees hotter automatically. Yep. Like we had to go to a doctor's appointment the other day. It's a 45-minute drive. And yeah, it was, I don't know, probably upper 60s out here. We knew it would be upper 80s or 90s by the time we got there. And it was mid 80s.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And my wife keeps complaining because, again, on the coast, sometimes you don't get that super hot weather. She's like, where did the summer go? We haven't had a real summer, and we've kind of figured it out. It's like, well, if we want summer, we just have to drive like 20 minutes off of the coast and it'll be too hot for us. We'll start complaining and then we'll head back home.
You go home and be happy that you're home.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's weird because I live in a vacation place. Cape Cod is a huge tourist destination. So I'm kind of I avoid going out that much this time of year.
Me too.
Away from all the chaos. I know my buddy Boston Roots Seedco also, he's just been like ready to just like go off because everything takes 2 to 3 times as long in the summertime because there's so many people, and my Wi-Fi doesn't work as well. Like even the internet seems slower. Phone service is not as good because there's so many more people down here bouncing off the wires and everything. But it's the price you pay for living in a beautiful place. So.
This is true. And you guys probably like the citizens here. We always look forward to September because September the kids go back to the school and the vacationers somewhat stop. And we're lucky enough to actually, September is one of the more beautiful months out here. Oh, yeah. So we call it Locals Month.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. September is a great time here on the Cape. You can still go in the water. It hasn't gotten too cold yet, and it's still pretty mild and nice. So yeah, I agree. Most of the tourists have gone home. Some of the restaurants are still open.
Some, yeah, some. We had a new crop of them start up this summer, which we'll see a lot of them due to summer, and then they go out of business in the off season because there's no economy here and nothing to support it. We'll see though, because a lot of people realize that travel has been different. You couldn't get on planes or internationally, so a lot of people looked more local in their own area. We're a couple hours from Seattle, so a lot of that tech money and tech family and people have just they come and they buy up all the groceries in the grocery store on the weekend, and then when you go grocery shopping on Tuesday, you're like, damn, nothing left. So that happens, but huge influx. Yep.
Yes. I do. I need to get back out there. I do love that area. I missed my time. I miss spending time in Seattle, and I spent a lot of time up in Redmond working at Microsoft. So.
Oh yeah. I went to Redmond High School. I know Redmond. Okay. I skated on the Microsoft campus frequently.
I lived awesome. Out of the Redmond Marriott for 9 months.
Oh wow! Right on.
right there in the mall.
Yes,
which was convenient for dinner, because you just walk out there and there's a couple
Claim
different
jumpers.
Yes. Couple different decent restaurants there, and it was nice. You can go to there's a great that really nice beer pub movie theater there, right, as well.
Yes, yeah, the Cinnabar.
Yeah,
I believe they're called.
Yeah, exactly. And that was cool. I was out there after post legalization, so that was good.
Yes.
So it was fun being out there, and I would land. I had a specific head shop where I would go and pick up my one-hitters and stuff that I was going to be using for the week while I was out there. I would stop and hit my buddy up. I'd stop. I'd get to the hotel, drop off my shit, go to the office for the second half of the day, and then go home and be ready and ready to enjoy. And then when I jet out of town, I would just toss the couple of cheap ceramic one-hitters I had bought for the week and just jump on the plane and go home. But yeah, no, it's I do miss being out there, and it's a beautiful area. I love the Pacific Northwest.
I dig it. Nice, man. So many stories of that area, but
yes.
I'll spare everybody the flashbacks. But yeah, that's cool. Hopefully you at least made it over to Marymore Park, which was near there. They do a lot of musics in the summer. They have the Velodrome, which is a bike track race. But that's
it's the biking capital of the United States, I believe. Redmond.
That's what they say. They say. But man, and I know Amsterdam is not in the United States, but nothing even close compared to Amsterdam or any of the Netherlands, where people really do ride bikes everywhere. And that was the first place I ever saw a parking garage, but dedicated to bicycles. It was the size of a normal car parking garage, but it was full with bikes. Coolest freaking thing to see.
Yeah.
They
have
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You should have gone to Amsterdam in 96, 98 and seen all the bikes. I went back in a layover. I had a 16-hour layover in 2018. And I'm walking out of Central Station, and none of the bikes are there anymore. Because Amsterdam had this big thing where they would have all these free bikes, and they would park them at the Central Station, and you'd walk outside Central Station and there'd be 200,000 bikes.
Yeah.
But walking down the street, I noticed a lot of the bike park areas in Amsterdam were gone. They were replaced by buildings. A lot of the parks I used to go to were replaced by buildings.
not a lot of spare land in that country, and they've got a housing shortage. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But that central station, when you walk out and you look over to the right, that is the parking garage that like I am talking about. That like in my mind is all the way to the right of the central station there, which is where you catch your trains from the airport and you can go around the country. But yeah, I've never seen anything like that, man. I thought that was pretty cool. But
They have the plague of the electric scooters there that beep at nighttime and all that.
there are more and more electric bikes. They've always had mopeds, but more and more of the electric bikes we saw this time when we went. And it's so crazy. You always wonder how people just don't get run over. And we did. We finally saw a guy in a moped get hit by a car. And it was the like funniest thing that you could possibly see because nobody was injured for one.
Yeah. European cars like the size of a quad.
It like hit the dude. He like kind of flew a little bit, like landed on his butt, like kind of like stands up, like grabbing his butt, like, ooh, like his bike's laying on, on the ground. The car kind of went by and stopped. And these two dudes in like tracksuits get out and like start walking over towards it. Like one of them like picks up the dude's bike. The other guy, the driver, pulls his license plate out from the moped because it like, so the moped was going like this and the car hit him like that, but it was like one of those things where they just passed. And so the moped got his license plate as they went by. So like dude's lifting it up. He's pulling it out. The other guy's like grabbing his ass, walking back to it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? They like put their arm around him and start walking away. I'm like, dude, you okay? He's like, no worries. I know. I'm just like, holy shit. Okay. And they just went their merry way. Like, how the fuck? You just got hit by a car. And everybody's like, we know each other. It's okay.
Get ran over by a tram.
Well, yeah, that's the joke. They say there's 5 ways to die crossing the street: the bike lane, the trams, the cars, the trams, the bikes. You can die 5 times crossing the street down there.
The one nice thing about their trams, though, if you notice, they're more angled in the front. So if they hit you, they just kind of push you off to the side.
Yes. Man.
I like that.
Spent about 1.5 years in Amsterdam over the years. I talked my friend into finishing his master's at the University of Amsterdam. That's what brought me here, was him writing his paper on literally the sex trade, the economics of the sex trade here in Thailand. And he had to write a paper, and he didn't feel like going and asking the mafia if he could talk to their girls. So UNLV paid for me to come over, and that was my job, was to go with him and set it all up. And
yeah, right. You were a pimp. Come on.
You're a professional pervert.
Why do you think I moved here? Fuck you.
That's rad. With that, though, guys, I got to get going. Got to do a few things, eat some dinner. But thanks for hanging out for a couple hours tonight.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, appreciate the invite. Had a good time. Thanks for hopping in here too, Hota Herb.
Oh, yeah,
cool to see you
absolutely.
tonight, man.
Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Try to make it on time next week.
There will be a test. No, I'm just joking. Well, cool. You guys have a good night. I'll hop out of here, but see you next time.
Go on, Chad.
Peace out.
Any new exciting shows coming up there for you, Hota? Any cool things you've had on this week, or interesting topics you've had on recently that you're really stoked on?
Tomorrow we're going to do Hota's Way. So we're going to do Seed to Smoke. I'm going to go over my current process from seed popping all the way through curing. So that's going to be tomorrow night for the Grow and Tell. And I've got Mosca, and I've got Professor P, Dynasty Genetics, coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. I'm trying to set specific times with the two of them so that I could get them both on. So they're both coming. So I'm excited to really get to talk to have Mosca on and get to talk to Professor P. I haven't talked to Chris in ages, so I really want to get him on the show and have a great conversation with him and get Dynasty Genetics to represent on the Grow and Tell. So that's some stuff I'm excited for on coming up. And we're almost at my 1 year mark. So tomorrow night is going to be episode 48. I can't believe that it's almost a year that I've been doing that now. So episode 48, not even close, obviously, to the growing with fishes numbers that you're running. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying. And so episode 48. So I'm almost at my 1 year anniversary. So I'm excited for that coming up in September timeframe.
Well, congratulations for that. That's a lot of work for sure.
Yeah, huge congrats, man, on the first year. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I did get to see Leighton on Sunday. He was doing a soil talk, actually at an aquaponics, basically a trout farm here in Massachusetts, and it's a Blue Aqua Farm. And they are one of the, it's actually a historic trout farm and fish farm here in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And it's been actually here for decades. And the guy who originally founded the property and put in a bunch of the original tanks and stuff was one of the very early people to do that type of stuff in the state of Massachusetts. And they currently supply trout for all of the ponds. And so it's all fish stock. A lot of it's all fishing stock for tournaments and fishermen and recreation and things like that. He does a couple different types of trout, but it was really cool. They have a couple different setups there. And they also make a product called Fish Brew, which is it's the product that Leighton's been utilizing for a long time. He's been working with him I think they've known each other for over 15 years or something like that. But it's a really, really cool product. Their water supply is unique because they're tapped into a well, and their well, there's a natural river that actually runs underneath Cape Cod, Massachusetts, of fresh water. And there's the municipalities actually put up these two gigantic bubblers on different sides of the Cape so that people can go get free water all the time. It's a really beautiful, delicious, clean source of water. And this farm, this aquaponics farm, is actually built on that. And they utilize water out of that well, and they actually cycle it through about 13 times before they send it through filtration process and then send it back into the bay. And but their water source is unique, and it still contains good amounts of diatoms, which show up in the soil on their property. So there's all sorts of really cool stuff going on with this product that they're putting together. And they have a biological product, and they also have a nutrient-based product that has more of the manure in it and less of the biology. But really, really, really neat people, and good product. I'm excited to start using that and checking it out. So I was thinking of you this weekend when I was at the aqua farm, and seeing all the water running around and different processes that they were running. And they have natural outdoor runs for the trout. So it's really cool watching all them all just run outdoors, and everything's netted over to keep all the animals out. They had to put up a bunch of wires for blue herons, because there's a ton of blue herons here on the Cape. And the blue herons, he was talking about them, they're bastards. They like small fish. So they like to go after the really small fish. But if they can't get to the small fish and they can only get to the really big fish, they go in and they just kill them. They go in and they stab them in the head, and then they just leave them there. They don't eat them because they're too big for them to eat. But they were saying blue herons, they have to land on land and then they walk into the water. They don't normally land directly in water. So they just putting up some basic wires allowed them to keep the blue herons out of a couple of the ponds. And that's their biggest problem, really, is predation of animals and birds trying to come in and pick off the trout.
Best thing for herons is just a dog that you keep in the yard. At the end of the day, I've had the same issue with some fancy koi and stuff.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the only thing that works like 100% of the time. Because if they see that dog cruising around, especially if that dog's not heron friendly, they're not going to come down.
Yeah, and I'm sure your dogs are not heron friendly.
No, anything that moves really is a fair game with mine.
Is a target.
No, I've talked about this before. They'll bait squirrels. So they'll take the nuts in the yard and pile them in the center of the yard. So they have to come down to the ground and get as far away from the fence or trees as possible. And then they have it dug out right next to where their little trap spot is. And they hide out underneath there where the squirrels can't really see them. And as soon as they come up to the nuts, they ambush them and they just have no chance. It's pretty funny.
It's fucking great.
But yeah, I've never had any other dogs that think like multi-step ahead.
No, but I mean, they're pack hunters. They got to work together, right? They gotta have some planning involved in that pack hunting mentality. It's not just a free for all.
Oh yeah, that's I think the coolest thing is that when they work together, they can like look at each other and like communicate without making sound. And I've watched them do that, especially like trying to catch a rabbit or a groundhog. They can glance at each other and the other one runs to try and cut it off. And it always amazed me how they can do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Or they're doing some subtle signaling that we just don't pick up.
That's weird. That's completely different though, Potent, to the hunting strategy my dog uses on squirrels. My dog will go to the base of the tree that the squirrel's on, and it will sit exactly striking distance away from the tree, and it will sit perfectly still and just stay perfectly still. And the squirrel will get madder and madder and come down the tree and be like making his noise at the dog and stuff. And she'll just stay perfectly still until he's within striking distance. And I've seen her like miss by like that much. So like, I'm sure she's got them like out in the forest with me during the day, like, but she won't bring nothing back to me. My black lab used to bring them back to me, but she won't bring them back to me. She just eat them all on the spot. She's a monster.
Do you have any pets?
Too many. I've got 4 cats and 2 English Bull Terriers.
I mean, there is too many, but I mean, that's not the number. That's too many. Too many is like 20.
It's too many. For me, it's too many. If it was up to me, there would be less of them. It's my wife. She's an animal nut. And 4 cats is a lot of cats, really.
Dogs, I wouldn't stop a number of dogs, but cats, me and cats just don't get along, and I'm allergic to, so it don't help. So
no, that probably doesn't work for you very well. Yeah. But we it's like one of those things. We had 5 cats because we had 3 cats. And then my wife went to take the trash out one day and found a kitten. So brought that kitten home. And of course, that kitten couldn't be alone because it kept, just running around and attacking her and was just a little too crazy. So she was like, it needs a friend. So she went out and got a kitten for that one. And of course, the 2 of them don't get along at all anymore. But, it was good when they were kittens. So then we ended up with 5 cats. So it's just, fortunately, one of them passed. So now we're down to 4. I'm hoping that a couple more will go soon. I would prefer maybe 2 is a more manageable number. 3 is reasonable, at least. And then the English Bull Terriers, they're nuts. You were talking about hunting in packs. We call these two raptors. Like the two of them are just, and they do the zoomies thing, right? Like they just will just zip around the room at full speed. Amazingly, they don't hit anything, which is unbelievable at the speed that they're going, but they'll just zoom around the room, run around the room, just crazy, jump up on the couch, off the couch, run around, and just full speed. This is like 60 pounds of pure muscle bolting around the room at high speeds and spinning. And then they just like shake it off and they're done. It's so
Dog
strange.
party behind Potent there.
So strange.
My cat left me. Well, I left like 90 pounds of cat food for 10 months, and I think someone picked up my cat. As long as he's in a good home.
He was in a delicious pho the next day.
Oh, don't say that. We actually have a restaurant here in Chiang Rai that does serve cat and dog. I know that's sick, but you know, it's Asian culture.
Well,
This is something.
Some taste buds.
we gotta
that's
work
way-
on the volume adjustments on the
that's
soundboard.
Still tuning in for this show.
I just blew out like 10 people's speakers.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm bad.
The audio version will balance it. I did want to plug this again real quick. My Silly at the Festival. If you're in Washington, come hang out. It'll be great fun this weekend. A ton of amazing people. The speaker list is bonkers. It's going to be just a really wonderful time. Tons of great educators from all over the country. So going to be a really, really wonderful festival. So come hang out. It's going to be wonderful. It's about an hour south of Seattle, if you don't know where Wilkinson is.
It's actually sad that I made it out to the West Coast more times than I made it to the East Coast from Ohio when I was back.
Yeah, what do any of you guys have any cool strains you're excited to pop once you get a chance to? I know I got some puck something cross I got when I was out at the conference. I got a ABC Australian Bastard Cannabis F2s from Happy Trees, so I'm super stoked on that. Should be able to find the ABC phenotype out of that. So did you guys get anything interesting that you guys are popping soon?
Yep, my Pick a Star project. And it's going to include the original genetics for Death Star, but I'm taking everybody else's sour diesel and I'm hitting it to the Sensi Star that Bob Hemphill gave me, that Mean Gene did for him. I picked those up in the Regen conference out there in California. That way everybody can see all the different Death Stars that were passed out in Ohio. And then they can pick out my cut. So that is actually my big thing. I want to get that out to the people because if you pick my cut, it's really, really relaxing. You can have the worst day. You can be screaming at the kids. You can be screaming at the wife, and halfway through that joint, you look at the sun coming through the window and you go, man, it really isn't that bad. But yeah, I've got about 100 packs here I'm ready to open.
Should be interesting.
First time that I've been growing since 2015.
Ohio Death Star.
How about a 10th Planet? Have you guys grown any 10th Planet? Popular one out here.
As you say, I did grow a puck cross, which was the stash plant from Duke. I think that's a puck cross that you mentioned.
That was one of the packs that I did buy was the Puck Up Bob. I should have bought them all.
I forgot, Captain, you were there. That Puck hash plant that Bob Hempel had was probably some of the best weed I've ever seen. That was insane. And just the trike density was ridiculous.
Yep.
That's why Bob didn't leave that with that jar of sample Puck. That came back to Ohio.
Yeah, the stash plant I grew from Duke, it came out like opening a can of pineapple juice. It's amazing, and it is super frosty, and it has that kind of hash plant thickness to the smoke. It's almost like a coating, velvety thickness to the smoke. Really nice. A good hash plant has that kind of extra level of thickness to the smoke, especially on the exhale. You really feel it in your lungs when you smoke a good hash plant.
I love that thick. I call it thick smoke.
Yeah, exactly. It's a richness.
When it fills up your lungs and you exhale and you go, oh God, that was a big hit.
Yeah, there you go. Oh. But yeah, it's nice, and it's got that puck in there, and that's really good. You should definitely find something amazing in there to play with.
Captain 420, what have you found have been some of the different lineages from, maybe more Western strains that have done well in Thailand, because you've been growing there for a little while?
Well, all this new stuff actually is doing quite well here, and it's basically because of the temperature. But as they're starting more indoor grows, I'm hoping to change it more towards the indica side, or the broadleaf, we should say. That heavier stone type hash plant, big, thick buds. But anything with a loose bud structure does wonderful here.
It's probably rots like it does here in Oklahoma if it's too dense.
Exactly. Now, I did want to mention something to you, Steve. You've got some one-to-ones.
I got a bunch of one-to-ones. I have a ton, but no one ever seems to like them.
Here in Thailand, they're smoking CBD. So bring them, because I don't see too many one-to-ones. I brought some here too, but bring them.
Cool.
It's really nice to be able to see people excited about cannabis and not just getting high. I mean, they're actually the best tasting pot that I smoked here, believe it or not, was a CBD. And I actually buy it because it's 50 baht a gram. It's like $1.35, $1.40 a gram. But it really helps me to go to sleep at night.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. But it's really nice to see people embracing both the THC side and the CBD side. So I think the one-to-ones would be really good here.
I always like those sour tsunamis and all the different tsunami crosses. We had a Shirley Temple tsunami cross that was really killer, and a couple of tsunami AC/DC crosses that were really good. We did a lot of work with in Colorado, and there used to be a big demand for it, and then it kind of fell off, which kind of sucked. Because if you have medical issues, it's kind of the best one to start off with as a one-to-one, and then go one direction or the other based off of, what your needs are.
And if you have any autoflowers, believe it or not, are big here. And I think the reason is they don't take a lot of care. You plant them in the ground, they're done at 3-4 feet. All you have to do is water them.
Yep. Less nutrients, 90 days start to finish. Don't have to worry about light cycles.
And, people here don't want to put a lot of work into anything, really.
The problem you have is that the autos are, at least that I've had, is the autos are so freaking inconsistent.
Yep.
When it comes to, batch to batch or seed to seed.
Then you can't clone
that's
them.
That's been my big frustration.
Hoda's going to have Mosca on, and I've seen some of his auto flowers.
Yep.
And some of those, I look at them and I go, wow, those look really good. I mean, nice big spears on them, everything.
I had some really good autos from Mephisto as well. I've had good luck with stuff from Mephisto or from Night Owl. Both of those have been doing autos for a long time, and they're pretty good and pretty consistent in the stuff that is produced. I haven't tried any of Mosca's autos yet, but I think I have a pack. I might have gotten a pack from him of those. He sends me packs all the time, so I have to go back and look at what he sent me. But I do have a couple of other autos. Friendly Organics from Maine gave me one. My buddy out in Colorado sent me a couple that I haven't tried that he made himself, which should be interesting. But yeah, I think the autos are fun, but I agree with Steve. They're inconsistent, and I've had just as many do well as come up just kind of stunted.
Yeah. So, for instance, each one of these bed sections is supposed to be the same strain. These plants here are like 3 pound plants, and these ones down here are like 2 ounce plants, an ounce plant. So there's just huge differences in yields and some of the stuff. But if you could get them all to be autos and the same speed that those ones finish to be like this, that'd be amazing. But again, they just haven't gotten the stability down yet. But these is all autos that but my buddy of mine's been running down in Bain down at Vertica in Oklahoma. They're the biggest aquaponics facility currently. But I mean, he gets these are all autos. They're killing it with those, but they just kind of run that in the spare space when they don't, they have the number of moms they need for the time being. They just, use that space for whatever else.
And that's I'm the same way. Like I'll just chuck an auto into my veg tent every once in a while when I feel like I've got some space. So I'm not too worried about it and just let it go and do its thing. They're fun to watch and they're interesting, but I've also found that I've tended to do better with autos. I've had better success with autos when I was using bottled nutrients as opposed to just the straight organic living soil approach. They seem to do much better with a cocoa and nutrient-based approach. At least I had better success with them when I went that way as opposed to just my normal organic and natural living soil approach. So they didn't seem to know what to do in the KNF environment I gave them.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks for that. That'd be a big help over here because I've never really grown autos, and I think I'm going to have to deal with them because of the way Thailand is, and everybody wants stuff quick and easy. But thank you for that information. I didn't know that.
At least, like I said, that's been my experience with them. And you have less time, right? They need to go into some place that they're going to be successful. They need to be successful from the start. If they hit some type of a disease or they get overstressed out of the gate, you don't have time to turn it around. And it's not like you can just run your veg cycle longer. They're going to start flowering when they're ready to start flowering. It doesn't matter. So you can't like make up that time if the plant doesn't start out well, but doesn't, take off out of the gate. You're kind of screwed. So, Yeah, I mean, like I said, you don't have to give them, they don't use as much nutrients during their life cycle. They're in flower and veg for most of their life cycle, but you have less time to turn it around. And because you can't control that veg cycle, it's not like you can go, we'll just give them an extra couple of weeks and they'll branch, they'll bush out. A couple extra weeks, the plant's done. But they're fun.
So pretty much what I'm understanding between you and Steve is if they're not taking off right off within the first couple weeks, 3-4 weeks, to basically cut them down and start with something else.
Yeah, ditch them to the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes things a lot easier. That way I can go in and tell people, hey, listen, if they're not taking off by 3rd, 4th week, cut them down and replace them.
Yeah. That or just set them off on the side or whatever, let them finish off. Just make sure they're not males or herming, you know?
Yep.
But the other thing I've noticed
are female.
The other thing I've noticed too is planting autos with photos in the same field. I feel like if we had 1 or 2 plants, maybe this is just bad luck, but if we just had 1 or 2 plants in the photos that had 1 or 2, maybe a fungal issue or some other thing, the autos seem to get it a lot heavier and have a much higher percentage loss compared to the photos when it came to random disease type stuff like that.
Is that because you don't have time to turn it around once you find that?
Well, that, and I think there's also quite a bit of pigeonholing with the genetics. Same thing with like the CBD and stuff. A lot of that stuff is very small gene pool. Wes, did you like miss with the shaver? Or it's your headphones. So your headphones have like a leather section and it looks like you just shaved a section of your head back. See, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I can't be the only one that's
I just got a terrible widow's peak, actually. No, yeah. I just got a high widow's peak.
Somebody had a lobotomy.
That's true.
All right, it's getting late here. I'm going to drop off, guys. It's about 12:30 here, a little after 12:30 here on the East Coast. So I'm going to jump off. I appreciate everybody for having me. Please give me a follow on Instagram at Hotaherb, JOTAHERB, or hit up Future Cannabis Project YouTube channel, FCPO2 tomorrow night for Hotaherb's Grow and Tell. Or join me on Clubhouse if you happen to be on Clubhouse. It's a great time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific every Thursday night. Herbs Grow and Tell. Have a great one. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Have a great week. So what are some of the other unique things about growing there? What about pest control as far as availability of different things for that?
Well, you're really into all of the labs and everything like that. And I think those will be really good here. You don't have to worry too much about the powder mildew, but spider mites, oh my God, they are everywhere, especially here in the north. I just seen some plants that were out not more than a month, and I got within 10 feet of them and I stopped. And the guy says, you don't want to come see the plant? And I can say, I see it from here. You got little white spots all over the leaves. You've got an infestation of spider mites. And you walk up to the plant and you flip the leaf over and they're just crawling. A lot of people here are resorting to Western technology that everybody's using in the big commercial grows back in the States. Something easy and simple. You know, it's really something because it's almost like everybody is starting off We do have people that have been into cannabis for a long time here, but a lot of the people that are producing cannabis got into it for the money. And if they don't have somebody that can take care and spot these problems right away, they're in trouble. But a lot of the bigger growers, they use the stuff that all the big commercial growers in the United States use. But I think using more organic and more natural pest resistance and deterrence will be great here in Thailand once people get educated. And that's what it is, we need to educate the people. Yeah, I went and seen a farm the other day, and the guy didn't amend the soil. And then the guy next to him, the farm next to him, amended his soil. And the plants the internodes were closer, and they were much, much more healthier, much taller. So, you've got people just digging holes and putting plants in. They're not amending the soil. But in time, that will change. Everybody has a learning curve. When something has been illegal for the past 80, 100 years, then it does take a little bit of time to catch up. I think in the United States, we just had a lot more outlaws. But I do see a lot of outdoor here. That's why I say, I came back to Thailand and wow, all this pot was here when I was here, but I didn't see it. So it's actually a new experience for me, Steve, going around and seeing all these places, because now people are letting you in to look. Where before you're white, you ain't coming in.
That's where having the waist length dreadlocks really helps.
Well, yeah, because before here in Thailand, if you needed cannabis, you went to the reggae bars, and that's where you could find your cannabis. So yeah, that's going to help you out perfectly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find. Actually, finally found a couple of companies doing beneficial insectaries out there, but there isn't a lot of them.
No.
So definitely looking forward to trying to figure out that. And that was, it was funny in Africa. It wasn't really a big deal to get almost anything that I could get in the States. There was a couple of things that were not as available. It was harder to get like Iceria fumus raceae, but you could get Bavaria bassiana and all the beneficial insects that you could get in the United States, or some type of equivalent species through South Africa or Kenya, which was pretty nice until COVID hit it, at least. But Thailand seems to be not at all on the same page when it comes to biocontrols.
No, they're like 100 years behind everybody else.
Yeah. Well, new adventure.
It's great to have you here and bringing out that information and sharing it with the people here. Like I said, education is the biggest thing that we can give to them. That and some of the dank stuff we have.
Yeah.
Man, you see my St. Bernard flip over my whole fucking studio here?
What?
Dude, my mic went on the ground, everything. It was crazy. Fucking St. Bernards. They have no fucking coordination whatsoever.
We had somebody say white boy dreads in chat. I just wanted to say once again how offensive this particular product is.
What is it? White boy dreads shampoo?
So there's a whole product line, and tell me if this doesn't look like someone like trying to put Obama and and Biden together. But Gringo Rasta, really? That's your product name, Gringo Rasta Fox Farm.
That's some high caliber shit, right?
As a white guy with dreads, this is offensive.
I say nay. That's absolutely beautiful.
They are appropriating my culture. This is bullshit. We do not have iguanas. They have a whole product line called Gringo Rasta. It's just bullshit.
Come on, Gringo Rasta. I never heard anybody dread say Gringo.
Yeah, no, nobody. There's no Gringo is not a patois word. There's no Gringo in Jamaica.
No, man, that's a Spanish man word.
And there aren't a lot of people swimming from Mexico to go to Jamaica, so they're taking the boats to get to Jamaica. If they did, they the hurricane blew them in the wrong direction or whatever.
It can happen. I swear to God, one time, these 7 refrigerators hooked together, like a boat from Cuba washed up in Antigua. I don't know if they got off in Antigua or just were lost at sea or turned back because they're blowing the wrong way or what. But yeah. They have a friggin' boat from Cuba.
That's the best plan, right? So you got your fridges and stuff, you paddle along, and you can just save one of them so that when you find your white lobsters or square groupers along the way, you just toss it in the spare one. And at least you got some cash when you get there,
Yeah, man. So go on.
Anyways, I think we'll about wrap up the show. We've been on for about 2.5 hours. It's been fun. I will get us our own SoundCloud account and everything for this here in the next couple of days. I'm trying to make this to where not one person is, running it so that we can have multiple people on if I'm not available or whatever, So trying to make this kind of its a separate entity for that reason, and just going to have a separate place and a different vibe than the other show. My other show on Thursday is more science oriented. We'll not have a show tomorrow. I might pop on and do a live with some of the other people, the speakers and stuff that are hanging out before the conference, but that may or may not happen. We'll see what kind of a reception I have where I'm at. So otherwise, thanks everybody for watching again. Come hang out, Mycelia at the festival this weekend, Washington State. Going to be a really badass gathering, certainly one for the record books. I can't wait to hang out with Chris and Matt and Cass and everybody else out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And how do people find you there, Captain 420?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Ohio's Captain, just like on the screen, CAPT, Dank. You can get a hold of me there. And that's about the only place.
All right.
Yeah, man.
What about you, Wes?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Wesingine, but also check out our guest from today, Jota Herb, on Instagram, and Chad Westport. Make sure you give them a follow too as well.
Oh yeah.
And where can people find you the best?
Oh yeah, you guys can find me at SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, all the things under Potent Ponics or Growing with Fishes. We're on pretty much every single platform, I think, at this point, just about. I also have a bunch of cool resources on my website, Potent Ponics, or Open Nutrient Project, whichever one you want to get to. It's kind of a subsection of my website. We have a ton of great useful resources if you're looking to do Jadam, composting, KNF ferments, whatever compost teas that you're making for minerals, whatever else. We have full lists of different mineral lists for plants, NPK values for pretty much everything in your garden, open source results for other people's, ferments and things like that, and forms of input your own stuff, test kits to test all your stuff. So definitely check it out if you're looking for resources on parts per million values of different plants. If I need, we'll say silica, we can click here and it takes you to the full list of different plants that you can get silica from by average minimum parts per million, and also has links back to all the source material if you want to see where we got that material from for over 44,000 plants. It's pretty amazing. So check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to have that bookmarked.
Yeah, if you're doing any kind of, creation with your own organic inputs, it's super, super useful. It has EPA limits on there, and then other sorted lists that don't have ppm values that are just, stuff. Trying to compile all of this stuff into one place so that you don't have to go looking in 10,000 places, but links back to all the original source material for all this. So, and this one is just another example. So this is all the different NPK values of anything that you ever use for organic inputs and things like that. So if you're looking for all that kind of info, check it out. We have tons of different resources on that if you're trying to figure out any of these types of things for your own organic inputs.
Yeah, like I say, I'm going to have that bookmarked because I'm still a newbie at all that.
And you can catch me live every Thursday on the Growing with Fishes podcast, just about every Thursday at least, except for this one, but most of them. And sometimes we do Monday and Tuesday shows, but kind of depends on if we can't get the guest on a Thursday, but that's all right. Thanks everybody for watching. It's been a great show. Check out the other episodes if you haven't already. Kind of similar. We talk about different cool grow stuff and different random topics and different things going on. It's